escaping the shadows. I know it's hard to put one foot in front of the other.
Hi guys, the CeeChronicles here. Welcome and welcome back to my channel. I post fragrance related content on this platform, guys, and if you're new, please do consider taking the extra step of subscribing and becoming part of the family. I'd very much appreciate that. And if you're returning, thank you so much for the continued support. Now kindly check out my second channel, CeeChronicles Unscripted, where I focus on my life, especially vlogs, but I have introduced a Western Wednesdays series where we talk about Western fragrances on a Wednesday. Now, how you can get to CeeChronicles Unscripted is if you go on my page, this particular page right at the top there where you see my photograph, you're going to see a couple of links there that will take you to CeeChronicles Unscripted directly where you can subscribe. There's also a PayPal link there if you feel you want to donate anything at all towards the purchases of some of the fragrances that I bring on this channel, because it's not sponsored. It relies only on you guys watching adverts. Welcome to today's video, guys. Today I have these three fragrances, guys. Eternal Coffee from Paris Corner, French Coffee from Rehab, as well as Qahwa from the house of Lattafa. So this is going to be a very quick video. I just thought to bring these three in case as a consumer you are wondering whether you need the three, whether there's any similarities. I have done a compare and contrast of this. So if you want to know just about these two, you can go to that video. I'm going to link them as well, in the description of this channel. But the new addition that prompted me to do this separate video as a third one is this one, guys, the Qahwa was introduced by Lattafa. I was one of those that had a mental shortcut that in the Middle Eastern fragrance industry, they have just awoken to wanting to use the coffee note there, and they are all jumping on board because they don't want to be left behind. Now, let me give credit where it's due. French Coffee was the first one that was released, right? But when I say let me give credit where it's due, I'm not saying these guys were copying French Coffee. You will be surprised how different these fragrances are, right? So I'm gonna tell you about each very briefly. French Coffee is a dark roast coffee, very realistic coffee there. It feels as though you have the coffee beans in your hand. Very, very strong coffee if you have to imagine it as a beverage. It feels like that coffee that you want to make as an energizer for those who believe in making that one cup of strong coffee to energize them at the start of the day. This is how this one interprets, guys. Very, very strong there to an extent of even choking out. This is a coffee fragrance that can transition through winter. Some people will actually find it only wearable in winter because it's coffee with no breaks. So that is what I can say about French Coffee, guys, from the house of our Rehab. Now going to Qahwa. Why I went to Qahwa instead of Eternal Coffee, which is one fragrance that I introduced here before Qahwa, is because I feel maybe, some of you guys want to know more about Qahwa because this one is the new one. Now, Qahwa, guys, is Khamrah coffee, okay? That is what it means. That dark thing at the bottom there should not make you think that it has a coffee that interprets as a dark roast. In fact, if you go to the original review of my Qahwa, a lot of people that are familiar with the Arabian coffee did explain that it's not the coffee that you would expect in the coffeeiest of the coffees, right? They said their coffee is a very light coffee there, mixed especially with a cardamom, if I'm not mistaken. This is not a coffee that's going to feel like the original Khamrah fragrance punched with that. So for those who were thinking like myself that if I have Khamrah already and I have French coffee or I have Eternal Coffee, then why do I need this one? Because all I'm going to do is I can take this one and layer it with my original Khamrah. Remember, there's the original Khamrah. And then boom, I've got myself that, no, that is not how this coffee interprets. If anything, it comes across as a very exciting take to Qahwa with a coffee that's barely obvious there. What you're going to get is a fizzy ginger there and a cardamom, if I'm not mistaken. So it takes a fun twist there by adding that spicy ginger in the mix and a coffee that's very, very faint. And I believe, according to the comments, that's exactly how the Arabian coffee interprets. So it doesn't feel as though Lattafa was jumping on the bandwagon there to create or compete with Eternal Coffee or with French coffee. It just feels as though they gave us a coffee the way the Arabian coffee should be made, underneath or on top of that original Khamrah DNA, and then of course added that beautiful sparkling ginger to give it a fun twist. So that's how this one feels like. The third one, guys, of course, is gonna be Eternal Coffee from Paris Corner. Now, when I was doing my research, Paris Corner passed this one off as their own. They called it what? A creative DNA or creative collection, meaning it's their own. They're not trying to copy somebody. And to an extent, I can believe them until perhaps I come across one fragrance from the Western houses that smells like this type of coffee. This is a very creamy coffee. Creamy in the sense that it could literally be that coffee, right? That not very concentrated coffee with like a cream. It's instead of just milk, like a cream, okay? Kind of feels like a cappuccino. So this is going to have that milky nuance. This is going to have that lactonic nuance. This is going to feel like your thick, rich cappuccino. If not like a cappuccino, it's going to feel like your normal cup of coffee, but that has a little bit of a heavy dose of the milk there. So yes, the coffee in here is distinct, but not as toasty as this one, very milky. Now, in conclusion, guys, I'm now bringing the three to just wrap up this video. In conclusion, I'm going to say these fragrances do not smell the same at all. Okay, process of elimination. This feels nothing like the two. Feels nothing like Eternal Coffee. Feels nothing like French coffee. Even if you take Khamrah, because you already have Khamrah, and punch Khamrah with either Eternal Coffee or you punch Khamrah with this, you still won't come up with this, right? So this is just a different coffee altogether. Some of you are going to say it doesn't even have the coffee that's enough. It's not coffee enough. You see, that's how this one feels like. It's just a unique type of presentation of that Arabian coffee bottled in or sitting on the original Khamrah DNA, okay? Adding a fun twist. So do not let this one deter you from buying these two. If you have these two, buying this is not going to be redundant, okay? If you have these two, they are not going to remind you of this at all. This is doing its own thing. If anything, the one thing to look out for is buying this if you have the original Khamrah, because it doesn't distance itself distinctly from that original Khamrah. So that is what I can say, guys. So it is Khamrah Qahwa, also known as Khamrah coffee, but the coffee in here has nothing to do with Eternal Coffee or French coffee. Do not expect a coffee on steroids, to be honest. If you're one who loves your distinct, like in your face kind of coffee fragrances, don't purchase that one. You know, smell it first. It might disappoint you. And of course, we have a video of these two, so there's no need for me to go on and on, guys. The differences are going to be that toasty, realistic dark roast, as though you have the coffee bean in your hand there. Really, really heavy. To an extent, if you made this type of coffee and you gave it to a child, they might find it so bitter. You know, it's something that they would not want to drink, if you know what I mean. I mean, to a child, but of course, you're an adult. This is that type of coffee. Feels like the lift me up, energize me type of coffee. Very strong coffee that some people prefer there. And black, if I hadn't said that, black, okay? Some may say even with milk, if you make it strong enough, it feels like this, but I don't get a milky, like a distinct milky undertone there. So this kind of feels like a black coffee to me. And then of course, this is your overdosed yummy cappuccino. The coffee here is very present. You can smell it even from the nozzle, but it's sitting on that milky backdrop. CeeChronicles is my name. Thank you so much for joining me today. Let's meet in the comment section, guys, where we obviously discuss more about fragrances. Let me know your thoughts on these three fragrances if you own them. All right, remember the key is because of the price of Khamrah Qahwa. If you have Khamrah, go try and test Qahwa first. If you don't have Khamrah, I would say start with Qahwa, because it's more interesting. Turn on post notifications on both my channels, this one and CeeChronicles Unscripted. That way, guys, you get to be notified anytime I upload a video. Like and share this one meanwhile, and remember that smelling good is a form of good manners. Cheers.